Well, take a look here at 5. Folks, you probably stood in one of these lines today. Long lines of polls all across Metro Louisville today. And in Louisville only, causing a delay for many voters in casting their ballots. Right now, the Kentucky Democratic Party is suing Jefferson County, calling for it to extend the voting hours. Will the polls stay open longer in Louisville tonight? That's the big development in the hands of a judge, the battle after a major computer meltdown. Thanks for joining us. I'm Doug Proffitt.
And I'm Connie Leonard. Kentucky Democrats filed the lawsuit this afternoon after multiple polling locations experienced computer delays, slowing down that voting process for thousands across Jefferson County.
It was quite the headache, and within the last hour, here's what's underway. A hearing was just held in front of Judge Eric Hayner in Jefferson Circuit Court. Judge Hayner giving each party 5 minutes to argue their case, Democrats and Republicans.
An election is only free and equal when all voters have the same right to cast their vote and have it honestly counted on equal terms with everyone else across the Commonwealth.
If this court were to allow polls to stay open, those, according to controlling Kentucky law, those votes are illegal and would have to be cast out.
And again, the arguments just made. Judge Eric Hayner saying he certainly understands that time is of the essence, of course, because the polls close in 1 hour from now. We do not have a decision yet. But Connie, if we get it, we're going to bring it to you right here.
Absolutely.
In fact, it could come at any moment now.
Wow. Okay. Well, our Ian Hardwick joins us live now to discuss this lawsuit. And Ian, the Kentucky Democratic Party wants polling locations to stay open until 8 tonight.
That's absolutely right, Connie. The Kentucky Democratic Party is doing that in their lawsuit because they say people have not gotten their constitutional right to vote. Now, here at Highland Middle School, the poll workers told me they didn't have the same issues people were having earlier. But as you saw on those lines, we'll show them to you again. Right now, that problem was certainly there. It started with the tablets poll workers used to check people in, the e-poll books. Those are used to check people in to check their address. Now, the county clerk said the issue came about because so many people voted early. When they fired up those poll books in the morning, they had to load in all the names of the people who already voted so that nobody could vote twice. Now, here's what the spokeswoman for the county clerk's office had to say. They just can't be the ones who decide to keep the polls open longer.
We are going to stay open until every voter who was in line at 6 p.m. gets to vote. But just staying open arbitrarily for later hours is not something that we have the authority to do based on that KRS.
Again, we are waiting on a judge's decision within the next hour on whether or not there will be a 2-hour extension on the polls for some of those people who had those massive waits this morning. The issue supposedly resolved at 11 o'clock today. So anybody who's showing up now and seeing a long line, that's because of a massive turnout. For now, I'm live at Highland Middle School. Ian Hardwick, WHAS, on your side.
All right, Ian, thank you. Now, Congressman Morgan McGarvey weighing in on this, responding to the Kentucky Democratic Party's lawsuit. Of course, Morgan McGarvey, a Democrat himself, saying in this statement, quote, "We are fortunate in Kentucky that the right to vote is a bipartisan issue, and I look forward to the party and Secretary Adams bringing this matter to a swift and just conclusion. Kentuckians can be assured that our voting systems remain secure and their votes will be counted." Well, Connie, we do want to emphasize the polls close at 6, but you can go ahead and vote if you're in line at 6 o'clock.
Oh, absolutely. And for folks that are watching this or running out to vote, get there by 6 o'clock. Don't think that you can wait until 8 right now. We don't know that.
That's right. Judge Eric Hayner pending the decision, but it's important to note once again that old rule, get in line by 6, you will be able to vote. Now we want to talk about Indiana today. Millions of Americans nationwide will be casting their votes for what's expected to be this historic election.
And in Indiana, one major race we'll be tracking is the race for governor. Republican Senator Mike Braun is facing former Republican superintendent turned Democrat Jennifer McCormick. Libertarian Donald Rainwater is also on the ballot.
Our team's live in Indianapolis. We're covering both the Republican and Democrat for you here, parties for Braun and McCormick. We want to start with Alex Dederer, who's live outside Mike Braun's event. And Alex, Indiana's been a reliably red state, especially for governor. Last Democrat in that office, 2005.
Right, Doug. It's been about 20 years since the Hoosier state saw a Democratic governor, and Mike Braun wants to keep that going. So he is a first-time senator, and his challenger, just like Connie mentioned, is former superintendent Republican turned Democrat Jennifer McCormick. Now, Braun has told us that he thinks his biggest difference between his challenger McCormick is their experience in business. So McCormick, who he claims has never been able to sign a paycheck, and Braun quotes himself as having decades of experience in business and an entrepreneurial experience. The Hoosier state, again, not seen a Democratic governor in about 20 years, and this race is tighter than many could have presumed it would be at this moment in time. And a lot are claiming that the tightness of the race is due to Braun's running mate, that is Micah Beckwith. He is a pastor who many see as controversial, and they will both be here tonight at the Indiana GOP watch party, which we are right outside of right here in Indianapolis. And that watch party is set to start in about an hour. So obviously election day, we are just hours into the day, and we have many more updates coming for you later on in the day when we're inside of the watch party getting you voices from the GOPs. Doug.
All right, Alex, thank you very much.
And now we want to go over to Travis Breeze, who is covering the other side of the race with Democratic challenger Jennifer McCormick. And Travis, it's important to note that McCormick was a Republican previously, which is no longer the case.
That's right, Connie. I actually just asked someone with the Indiana Democrats for a little bit about that decision, and they said the way that they'd like us to phrase it and the way that McCormick has phrased it is she didn't leave the Republican Party. She feels the Republican Party left her. Around the start of the pandemic, she feels that the lack of support for public education was not something she could stand for. So I believe after her term ended as state superintendent of education in 2021. She then shifted to being a Democrat. So this theater where we're having the watch party right now is pretty dead right now. It's mostly only media. The doors officially open here at 5:30. But you can bet if they elect the first Democratic governor in this state in 20 years that this place will definitely be rocking. We also want to point out that her lieutenant governor pick is Terry Gooden, who is the twin brother of Scott County Sheriff Jerry Gooden, who many of you in Kentuckiana may know him as that no-nonsense Democrat that he's kind of proven himself to be in Scott County. So his twin brother is the lieutenant governor pick for this race. So we're still waiting to see McCormick or any other supporters or anyone else here in this rally right now, but definitely going to could be a big night for them here if they're able to pull off this upset. Connie, Doug?
All right, thank you very much. Travis, we'll be joining Travis now. Another big race we are watching right here for Southern Indiana. This is a blistering hot race, folks. It includes Clarksville, Jeffersonville, parts of New Albany. On the ballot there, the fight for House District number 71. That includes, again, Jeffersonville, and Democrat State Representative Wendy Dant Chesser is running against Republican challenger Scott Hawkins. They're both Southern Indiana natives, grew up in that area. Despite being the incumbent, Dant Chesser hasn't yet served in a legislative session, taking the seat for Rita Fleming, who suddenly retired back in May. More races you can watch across Kentuckiana. Just check out our voter guide. You can see what's on the ballot, your ballot, and the polling locations nearby in case you still have time to vote.
And it's a major measure that Kentuckians will hopefully have an answer to by this time tomorrow. Can public school funds be reallocated to private and charter schools?
Amendment 2 becoming a big driver to the polls today in this presidential year. That's the aim of Amendment 2 for Kentucky, which has garnered attention through public figures like Governor Andy Beshear and U.S. Senator Rand Paul. Alexandra Goldberg is covering the issue tonight. And Alexandra, you've covered the yes and no rallies. There seems to be a lot of opposition to this in the rural counties. Where do they expect this to do well tonight?
Connie, Doug, you're right. I mean, both sides agree that this is one of the most highly anticipated races on the ballot, but it's not about a person, it's about a question. And now with less than 1 hour left to vote, both supporters and opponents are making their final battle cries. Natalie Rashad, who is a teacher with the Kentucky Education Association, says the message that best resonates is most students go to public schools and that they are already trusted places. This is a central argument on the no on two side. We've heard this whole election cycle that opponents of the amendment say 90% of students attend public schools. Now, Americans for Prosperity, a right-wing super PAC, wants universal school choice. Heather Lemire says their strongest message is that there needs to be educational opportunity for every student, not just those with financial means. We spoke with folks on both sides about not only its impact in the metro, but also in rural counties.
The majority of counties in Kentucky do not have any private schools whatsoever. So for us, it's pretty obvious that there's absolutely no way that they can benefit from it.
When there's an open market in education, there will be all sorts of types of educational options that start to pop up. There will be one-room schoolhouses in rural areas that start to pop up. There will be all kinds of opportunities.
Now, both sides have raised over $16 million on this campaign, making it the most expensive ballot initiative in the Bluegrass state. Well, we'll be at watch parties this whole evening, hearing from both supporters and opponents, and of course, looking at those results as they start to roll in this evening. Live in Louisville, Alexandra Goldberg, WHAS 11. On your side, Doug, Connie.
All right, Alexandra, thank you so much for that report. And Kentucky voters will also vote on Amendment 1. Voters can decide if they want a line added to Kentucky's Constitution reading, "No person who is not a citizen of the United States should be allowed to vote in this state." Selecting yes puts the language in, while a no vote keeps it out. Kentucky's Constitution already implies citizenship is required to vote. This amendment would just solidify that law.
Kentucky State Senate seats are up for grabs, along with all 100 Kentucky House seats. Again, all 100 Kentucky House seats are up for grabs. Again, half of Kentucky State Senate seats you'll be voting on here. Republicans hold a supermajority in the General Assembly in Frankfort, and Democrats are looking to change that. In House District number 48, Republican incumbent and former Louisville Metro Council member Ken Fleming is facing challenger Kate Farrow in Northeast Jefferson County. Farrow is a retired operations manager at the Louisville Water Company and a first-time candidate for political office. Republicans are also hoping to flip House District 38's seat. Democratic Representative Rachel Rourke's facing Republican candidate Carrie Sanders McKeehan, is a Jefferson County Public Schools education teacher. We'll have tonight's first results for you on the screen on WHAS 11 News at 6. That's when the absentee ballots are first counted. We're also streaming a special coverage tonight starting at 7 on WHAS 11 Plus and our YouTube channel. And then 4 reporters covering the big races in Kentucky and Indiana. That's the WHAS 11 night team here at 11. But first, on the way at 5:30, the best election analysts on the air in Kentuckiana, Republican strategist Iris Wilbur-Glick and former Metro Council President David Tandy are joining us live at 5:30. We're going to talk computer issues, long lines, and will we have a president named this week?
Well, a major update in the Crystal Rogers case. Nelson County Circuit Judge Charles Sims ruled Steve Lawson will be tried separately from his son Joseph Lawson and Brooks Houck, Crystal Rogers' former boyfriend. Houck is charged with murder, and the Lawsons are charged with conspiracy to commit murder. All 3 are charged with tampering with physical evidence. Last month, both Lawsons petitions to keep their trials separate from each other and from Houck. They said media coverage and evidence in Houck's case would prevent them from having a fair trial. The move follows the judge Charles Sims ruling last month that some of Steve Lawson's interviews won't be heard during his trial. In addition to today's rulings, Judge Sims also decided that Houck and Joseph Lawson will be tried together. Steve Lawson's trial is set for February 10th, while Houck and Joseph Lawson will find out their trial date December 5th.